Good evening, everybody. Happy Thursday. Welcome to another episode of the Every Day is a Story All Its Own podcast. I am storyteller and creative Joey Medea. I'm really glad you could be here. Of all my topics that I like to teach about and talk about, blog about, and practice every single day, networking is definitely one of them because it's crucial for creatives. Before the show in the chat room, I was talking to some friends there and fellow creatives, and they know it's how you get stuff done. There are very few of us who can afford publicists and managers, agents, all these people that will go out and just talk you up all the time. And to get there, you need to network. But I would guess even when you're there, you need to network. So this is an important show in the scheme of things. In a couple of weeks, I'm going to do the art of showing up. So this is kind of building. We did the broad role of creative in tumultuous times. And now we're going to do networking. So some of this is cheerleading. I'll share with you some of my favorite quotes. The key to networking is confidence. So that's part of it too. How do you get confident? How do you know that you're capable of doing what you say you're going to do, that you even have anything to bring to the table, which is a worry that a lot of people have. I'm networking with some really, really impressive people who have won a lot of awards, Emmys and Oscars and Grammys and different things like that. So it's easy to go, oh, how do I measure up to those people? So there are some ways, some things you can practice, self-talk mantra kind of thing. So let me go ahead. I'll roll my 11-second opening with music by my longtime collaborator, Knight Berman Jr., and then I'll get right in. Welcome, everyone. So glad you could be here. All right. That really is so quick. It catches me off guard. So let's jump right in. A couple of weeks ago on my hat, I was wearing a pin, and I want to show you that pin tonight. Life is a constant audition. I bought this when I was 16 years old. It was probably like in a Spencer's or something like that, a Hot Topic type place before they had Hot Topic, but at the mall, getting ready for an opening night. And this is my feeling. Life is a constant audition. It goes right with Shakespeare's all the world is a stage. So when I was advertising this episode tonight for YouTube, for LinkedIn, thank you to everyone who's been watching on LinkedIn. I'm really surprised. The numbers are just terrific. I figured I'd give it a try. I always post after the fact, and the numbers are pretty good. But the show from 2 weeks ago keeps growing and growing and growing. So when I do these solo shows, I'm going to do that. Also to the Facebook page. Thank you, everyone, for supporting that as always. But anyway, I really do believe this. Life is a constant audition. So we need to show up. We need to be at our best. And there are some things to do that without faking it, without being a phony, without doing all the things that oftentimes creatives and especially actors. I've been an actor probably longer than I've been everything else. I did my first acting when I was 8 years old and started writing shortly after that. Get accused of being a phony, being a fake. And there are ways to not do that and to things to concentrate on. And there's things that I love to share with my students when I mentor and all those kinds of things. I'm going to stay on top of the chat room tonight. Hi, everybody. Thanks everybody else who's joined us since we started. So networking. What is networking? It is putting yourself in front of people, all of whom will judge you. Because here's one thing about networking. You want to make connections with people who are then want to work with you, introduce you to other people. And so they're going to judge you. Is this somebody I want to spend time with? Is this someone eventually that I would recommend for work? Because the very worst thing in the world is to be in a position to recommend somebody for work and they don't work out, or they drop the ball, or they don't show up, or they lied about what they were capable of. And I get asked all the time to recommend people. It's probably one of the hardest things that are part of this whole networking thing. They're going to judge you, but you want to make connections. You want to build a group, get your stuff out there and be known, and to make a living. ultimately. And that's why, anybody who's any kind of entrepreneurial business, sales business, you need to network to help make a living, to grow that group of people who are going to be potential customers, potential collaborators, potential hiring organizations. So you want to further your goals, you want to audition, and you want to close the gaps. You're going to be doing all those things, and I'll talk about those tonight. So networking checks a lot of boxes. It's fundamental. It's really, really important. It goes hand in hand with showing up. So in a couple of weeks, when I do the episode on showing up, the creative communication on that, some of this will be repetitive. But as I like to say, anything worth hearing again is worth hearing twice. So there you go. Now, I am not an extrovert, go out there, boom, 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 light up a room, all of that kind of stuff. I don't know where I land on the charisma chart. I don't wonder about any of that kind of stuff. As a matter of fact, according to the Myers-Briggs test, I am an INTJ. We're one of the rarer of the types, and that is introverted. Absolutely, yes. Intuitive, absolutely, yes. Thinking all the time, hardly sleep, and judging, mostly self-judging. And I think that's true for a lot of INTJs, but we're also judging situations. And in the creative business, you're judging all the time. And sometimes literally, I am asked to be a judge for young actors, for writers, things like that. Also, too, and I don't want to lay on this, and this is about as public as I've been with this, but 18 months ago, I was asked, for reasons I'm probably not going to go into, but to take a battery of tests, and was very surprising in some ways. It's certainly educational. It certainly helped me on my journey when the results of those 4 or 5 tests came back. If you're interested in that, you can see scrolling there my blog, joeymediastoryteller.blogspot.com. Look for an essay there called The Quirky Workings of My Mind, The Journey So Far of a Neurodivergent Middle-Aged Creative. And that's all I'm going to say about that. But if you are interested, check it out. And if you want to talk to me about it, I would love to hear from you. So with all of these things going on, my crazy, quirky mind that just plays things over and over and over again like a film, my INTJ and all, networking is hard. So I have had to develop the confidence to go along with my passion. I want to work, and in order to work, you have to network. Therefore, you have to put yourself out there, so on and so forth. That's how that works there. So I much prefer to be here in the creative cottage, creating content. But I can't always do that. So how does an introvert like me become a successful networker? I'm known for my ability to network, and that's what I'm going to talk about tonight. If I can do it, I think really anybody can do it. Practice. You just got to practice. Find out what works, find out what doesn't, toughen your skin, try different things, pursue the things that really do seem to work. This podcast, fitting hand in glove with the blog of the same name, Every Day is a Story of Its Own, seems to be working. So I'm going to be doing more of it. I post on my blog 6 days a week. So patience, because it takes time to develop a network. I've been at this for 35 years now, showing up all the time, and confidence in your craft. I can't say that enough. If you have confidence, and that's another thorny thing too, because if you go out there and you say, I'm really confident in what I do, some people will read that as ego. No, when you're putting yourself out there the way we are as actors, writers who are constantly being judged at a very high level, and there are some people now, some very impressive people that are reading my work. Well, that's still, that's still, you need that confidence just to go, right, I'm so glad those people are reading my work, and like, oh no, this is where I'm outed as a fraud. Imposter syndrome is very real for so many creatives and others too. And trial and error. See what works, see what doesn't work. Be willing to adjust your brand, change your brand, develop your brand as you go. And I've done all of that because I love to act, to direct, to teach, to do workshops, to travel as a Chautauquan and as a historical education scholar, which I'm going to be doing quite a bit the last half of this year and into 2026. That means being with people. So you're either collaborating with them or you are the focus of attention. That's just it. When people buy tickets to come see you perform, you are the focus of attention. That's just the reality. Again, it's not about ego, but it is a perfect opportunity where you have this audience to do your thing, to teach them, to tell your stories, whatever method, way you're doing it. So, even if you say, hey, I write and I just create solely in solitude, so I don't really need to network, I will say this: you still have to sell your work, and these days there are so few publishers who have big public relations and will set up all your writers tours. You have to do so much of the work. So when I do my consulting work and helping writers and they say, do I self-publish, do I go with a publisher? That's something that factors in. You have to do so much of the work, no matter what the arrangement is, unless you're part of a very, very elite group. And they had to network in order to get where they were going. So you have to have meetings, you have to have conversations, you still have to make pitches, even if the pitch is a query letter and a cover sheet and a sample chapter. You're still making a pitch, you're still putting yourself out there. um teaching is so important to me. What I do, I'm a lifelong student of the craft of the writer, actor, director, and I will be until I die. And learning other modalities, audio drama, or Chautauqua, when I learned that starting in 2012, a brand new form. I love that. So learn, teach is a great way to learn. And here I am 35 years later with a lot of hands-on experience. And I'll talk about how that all works. 5 books on the craft of storytelling, classroom, professionals, other people who want to tell their story. Of course, every day is a story all its own. That book there, and over 400 reviews of books, of CDs, recordings, film, TV shows, all of that kind of stuff. And I will talk about each of those tonight, how this really helps you when you're networking. So in 2020, I had something really cool happen to me. And when I talk about the art of showing up, part of that is saying yes to life. And this was an instance where I very much said yes to life. I had been a long time one of the earlier people to sign up for it, and it's now giant, tens of thousands of people. Stage 32, which is a networking site, especially for film and TV creators, writers, actors, directors, composers, so on and so forth. It has really, really grown since it launched probably around 2015, I think. So it's been around for about 10 years. Well, they were looking for bloggers to talk about specific craft related things at a very high level. Again, you're showing up, you're being judged by people who have very, very impressive credentials, and you're going to talk about the business. But I said, yeah, I'd like to do this. So here's some samples of things I've done. Here's my background, whatever. So in the next 3 years, they published 17 of my how-to articles for 2 different editors. Some have been reposted. They have a new editor now. I no longer write for them, but sometimes they'll repost my stuff, which is very cool. I like that. Anyway, so one of the very first things I did, I'm wearing my Mothman 66 escape room a t-shirt tonight, and I got a communication. People were absolutely loving my award-winning escape room in Scotland. They were playing it today, and we're also working on a new one for them that's going to debut in September, October. These are my Joey Medea signature escape room experience escape rooms, and it really all started that journey. I had designed a couple of escape rooms, but the very first article that Stage 32 published of mine was, I pitched them like, I create escape rooms in a different way. I was telling them, like 3-act cinematic thrillers, and they really liked that. The article I wrote for that was picked up by 2 different screenwriting websites, one almost right away, And then that one was picked up by yet another screenwriting one. I because of NDAs and stuff, all that I can say is one of the top luxury automotive manufacturers in the world hired me to consult for their international digital escape room, which was a very cool experience. I got the Scottish escape room from that. I would not have my own brand of escape rooms, and I don't know that the Mothman 66 escape room would exist, certainly not in the form that it does, unless I had done that. That's all about networking. That's why I did the blogging, because I knew I was going to connect with people. And I met some amazing people who have read the blog articles, given feedback. Karen says we're so vulnerable as actors. Networking is difficult. We are definitely going to talk about that. Karen's going to be a guest on the show June 12th. So in 3 weeks, very excited. Karen is a filmmaker. She's an actor. She's working on a very cool documentary she's going to tell us about. She also made a short film, and it was her first short film, and it's getting into all kinds of festivals. It just became an official selection in London. Karen and I have known each other, I guess, for about 10 years now. Very proud to call her a friend and a fellow creative. So that's a commercial. Definitely tune in June 12th for Karen Lutz, because that's going to be a wonderful conversation. We will talk about these things and how you take that vulnerability and how Karen does it, because she is an excellent networker. She's meeting, oh man, so many impressive people, and they're really going to bat for her, which is key. So let's go through the things that really make to me, make it easier, make it fun to network. Okay. And the first one is living authentically. And I've talked about this so much. It's so part and parcel of who I am. And 11 years ago, a very good friend of mine reached out to me, a fellow creative who makes jewelry and things like that. She said, you got to check out this Brene Brown, who did this TED talk on vulnerability and authenticity. Now she has this new book. I've promoted Brene's book in my top 10 lists and how to inspire creatives, because it really kind of changed my life, and it was amazing. And Brene Brown did this brilliant talk, and it totally blew up. Millions of people. She was a licensed social worker, and suddenly people are talking about her, and they're talking about her so judgmentally about the way she looks and about her weight and all this ridiculous stuff. Um, Terrible that she had to go through it. So helpful for us as creatives, because some people who are watching this tonight and maybe only watching for 10, 20, 30 seconds, and they're judging. Oh, look at that guy's hair. Oh, look at the way he dresses. Oh, look at his set. Oh, look at whatever. And they turn away. So that is just a part of it. That's just a reality. People are judging you all the time. And every once in a while, especially when Tanya and I were doing our paranormal work, we're on very big podcasts with very big numbers, and people can be very unkind. And you just kind of have to deal with that. It's a numbers game. I mean, if you're in front of thousands of people, a couple of them are just, they're not going to like your voice. They're not going to like how you look, the expressions that you make, the way you hold your hands, any number of things. So Brene went through all of these things. So what is authenticity? Well, the go-to Merriam-Webster dictionary says that authenticity is not false or imitation. That's great, because so much of what we deal with through AI and just everyday world, social networking is all fake. It's all artifice. It's all imitation. Baudrillard's talking about simulacrum, which is a copy of a copy, and you don't even know you're looking at a copy of a copy. And that really kind of expresses what was going on with AI and what's going to be real and to be actual, to be genuine, to be honest. As Dr. Brown says, showing up and owning your story. This is who I am. This is my history. This is how I've lived. This is what I've done. Was it always perfect? No. Are there things that I would do again? Yes, with a caveat, because I was living and I was learning and I did those things, and I was, I was in the moment at the time. So that becomes really big. Thank you so much, Ron. Ron says he gets to meet amazing people, including Tanya and I. We feel the same way. You can listen to this on replay every Wednesday night, or episodes 3 weeks out from where they are, every Wednesday night at 10 p.m. on ERT Radio, ERRT. There you go. And please check that out. It's another way to get the word out, which is wonderful, and I'm deeply appreciative to Ron for that. So no masks, no false fronts. I say to people, I'm lucky enough to make a living partially as an actor. And that's where I do that. That's where I put on the mask. That's where I put on the makeup. You'll see me in a couple of weeks when I do the show on Showing Up. My hair will be very short in the 1920s style, and it will be dyed dark again. And those of you who've been with me for a long time, you know that means I'm doing a character. I'm prepping for a character. So I have a big photo shoot in Tulsa the third week in June. So I'm going to be prepping for that. So that's where the artifice comes in, the accents and all of that kind of thing. So it's really hard because when you show up and you're authentic, you're just yourself. I say this all the time. I am not everybody's cup of tea, but at least that lets me know that I'm showing up and I'm genuine. Not everyone's going to like you. They're not going to resonate with your beliefs. They're not going to resonate with your style. They will judge you physically. You know, all these things that I've been talking about, how you talk. And that's fine, because they have to decide if they want to spend time with us, if they want to vouch with us, if they want to work with us. It makes total sense in a way. Authenticity allows passion and what some people call over enthusiasm. I wonder about things like that. Over enthusiasm, hyper intellectualism, which I've often been accused of. I don't know if we need those suffixes, if we need those descriptors, those qualifiers in front of those words, because it makes some kind of a dirty, over enthusiastic. Oh, he's over enthusiastic. I just read Penn Densham, the writer director. I just read his writing on alligators about making a go of it in Hollywood as a screenwriter, and which is a very interesting thing. I've written for many different kinds of genres and many modalities, and being a screenwriter is a very, very odd thing. Over enthusiasm. They destroyed Howard Dean decades ago after he won an upset Democratic primary because he was over enthusiastic. Oh, the guy must be out of his mind. A certain guy went on Oprah Winfrey, who I have I guess a little bit less sympathy for, and was jumping down on a couch because he was in love. That's over enthusiasm. People have to watch, but passion is a thing. It's important. It's amazing to me. And it happens surprisingly often, that after a presentation, for people, they'll say, wow, your passion, like, I really like your passion. Wow, the people you presented for, the people you pitched for really liked your passion. I'm sure there were people who didn't. I'm sure there were people that turned off, people who thought I was too big, people who think I am too big. And that's fine. That's the price of authenticity. But to me, here's the really good news. When you are just you, no artifice, no nothing, and sometimes you have to change yourself. You have to read the room, as we say, and actors are great about reading the room. You have to adjust, but you don't let go of your passion. And if somebody asks me to talk about one of my projects, the governors are off. I'm going to get excited because it's what I do and I love, and I breathe and I create, and they're equally important to sustaining my life. You can do that. So I always think of one of my favorite films is The Greatest Showman, the musical with Hugh Jackman. Right. And it gets a lot of pushback. I've written, again, if you want to go to my blogs, I wrote in defense of The Greatest Showman because P.T. Barnum was not a great guy and there was a lot of horrific things. But if you can watch that movie and sort of see where that's encoded, and it doesn't let him off the hook, it's super, super inspiring. And the Oscar-nominated song, This Is Me. That's what you just need to say. Look, this is me. Well, the good news about that is there are no surprises. So I have seen people who show up and the version of them after you hire them, after you've been put together to collaborate, after the initial meetings, boy, do they change. And that is problematic. And it rarely turns out well. You might get that job, but you're not going to get future ones. If you can be authentic, if you can just show up and go, this is me, I am passionate, I am excited, I work hard, I'm confident that I know what I'm doing because it's based on XYZ, which I'll talk about tonight. Some of those markers to help because it's bad to be ignorant about the level of your work. That's bad, but there are ways. Then you're much better off. It doesn't mean you're going to get hired back, but I have a pretty stout track record of getting hired back, of working with people not once but many times over the years. So and that's good, especially if there's like publicists or radio hosts, who invite you back time and time again and share you with their audience. Then that something's going on. Another really good thing, and I've been talking about this one forever, follow your bliss, right? So this is Joe Campbell, the hero's journey, Sat Chit Ananda. This idea of living your best life, as Robert Walker, the president of the Joseph Campbell Foundation, would say, doing the thing that you can't not do, knowing that that's a double negative. Maybe the grammar's bad, but it's right. The thing that you can't not do. If people said to me, you can never write again, you can never act again, you can never tell stories again, that would be tough. I don't know what that would look like. I've been listening to, it feels to me, the soundtrack of this AI age, Rush's concept album, their progressive rock album 2112, that first half. And sometimes you wind up feeling like if you can't do those things, you just don't want to live. I was listening to that again this morning and really thinking about it. So do the thing that you cannot not do, and do it as much as you can, in all kinds of forms. And that was really key for me, to do it under my terms and in my own forms, which becomes really important, to have a lot of oars in the water. So bliss, you talk about bliss, right? Ignorance is bliss, is kind of this, oh, I don't really know what's going on, and I'm better off and I'm happy for it. It's not that at all. This bliss is this passion for why you're here. What is your thing, your story, right? Showing up and owning your story is a version of bliss, but it's not constant happiness and fulfillment. Creatives have to deal with a lot of disappointment. They have to deal with a lot of rejection. Sometimes they have to deal with ghosting. Sometimes things look, and the higher up you get in this whole process, the one thing I'm learning, spending more time, at the higher levels of the industry, is everything could be going really great, and then suddenly it isn't, and you don't even sometimes find out why. That's really. And I also talk to creatives. The hardest thing about going up the ladder and doing more at that level is things, and Karen will know exactly what I'm talking about here, things are really glacial. A lot of money is involved. A lot of people who are very busy are involved. So things take a really long time to happen. So if there are things that you can do and you can control, and work that you say, you know what, I'm going to do this, I'm going to put it out there. That really helps. That really helps to, so when someone's in a giant rock band, but they only, come out with an album every 3 or 4 years, and they build their own basement and they do a solo album every year. That's that kind of thing. To not rely on other people to make that happen. It's better to struggle than to coast. When I am invited to talk to young people, or go back to my alma mater, Arcadia University, and talk to people there, I always say, if you're getting there too fast on a very straight road, you're not pushing yourself hard enough. You're not following your bliss. It's a winding road, and sometimes it loops back, and sometimes you're stuck for a little while, and there's always crossroads, and you want to go in every direction. In order to do that, you got to pick one, then you got to circle back, you got to try the others. So keep that in mind. If you're just checking things off constantly without too much pushback, it probably means that you're not pushing yourself hard enough. Here's another. Uh, I don't talk about this a lot, but but um, but it happens. I hear it. I witness it. Excuse me. I'm the target of it astonishingly amount of time. Do not lead with your wounds. Do not walk into a room and tell everybody every time you got screwed over, disappointed, the judges were ignorant, the industry is rigged, people are out to get you. If there's a pattern of that, I think you need to self-reflect and go, why is that? Why am I collecting losses? Why am I collecting disappointments? Why am I collecting rejections? And why am I not processing them? Why am I going out and leading with my wound? Leading with my wound is Carolyn Mace, who's done so much good work about spirituality, creativity, all of that kind of thing, self improvement, self betterment. Don't lead with your wounds. Um, Tell people about your losses when it's instructive. That's a great thing for teachers to do. That's a great thing for mentors to do, but to do it in such a way that it is a teaching tool. Good evening, Mark. Glad you could make it. So now I want to talk about the 10,000 hours. Um, and that comes out of a book called Outliers, The Story of Success by Malcolm Gladwell. It always makes my like top 10 books you need to stay inspired. It's a terrific book. It's got a lot of wonderful material on it. But this idea of 10,000 hours, this idea to become proficient at anything, truly, truly proficient, takes about 10 years at about 40 hours a week. So at 35 hours in, and I don't know that I've ever worked a 40-hour week only in my adult life, and certainly not in the last 20, 25 years. So I think I'm pushing about 30,000 hours. That is practicing. That is gaining proficiency. That is that trial and error and testing, trying things out. I went to Arcadia University when all my teachers were pushing me to go to a big program like my classmates were going to, like Mason Gross School of the Arts at Rutgers, and get a BFA, or go to Syracuse University or other these big performing arts schools. The students there can't really even do parts, any kind of really substantial parts, because of all the graduates, those in the graduate program, the MFA program, the Master of Fine Arts programs, through most of their undergraduate. That didn't make any sense to me. Acting is a muscle, it's active, it takes practice. So I did, let me get this right. In the 4 years, I was highly recruited. They gave me a really nice scholarship, and they put me to work. So I did really, really challenging parts. Sometimes, like I went home in tears, or I wanted to quit because I was pushed so hard. I did 10 shows, one of which, as my senior project, the teacher was away in Costa Rica, and they hired me as the director. They gave me the opportunity to be the director with the full resources of the school, of the theater department, and all of that kind of stuff, and did 10 shows where I played the leads. So know what's right for you. That's really, really, really important. So to get the jump on that 10,000 hours, practice your craft, self-educate. Watch with a critical eye, read with a critical eye. I read voraciously. Those of you who follow me on Facebook and other social media, you know that I like to take pictures of different actors in a movie and then put them in the movie and things that I'm working on. But while I'm doing that, I'm breaking down TV shows. I'm breaking down films. I'm graphing them. I'm seeing what works and what doesn't work. Tanya, who's watching tonight, my beautiful bride of 27 years. Tanya, I call her the Empress of Story. She's so smart about story. So we sit there and we pause and we back it up and we look at the mise en scene and the subtext and what the director's trying to tell us, and great moments that the actors have. And then you look at what things don't work. I won't tell you what, but we watched something on Amazon Prime last night, and it just wasn't very good. And it's very interesting to break it down and go, why isn't this at this huge, wonderful level that you would expect an Amazon Prime original to be at? So that becomes really helpful. You're welcome, Empress of Story. I'll see you for Wild Wild West after this show tonight, which we're enjoying. And you really have to break that down. That is just good, campy 1960s fun. If you know that show, Wild Wild West, I absolutely, absolutely adore it. So anyway, the 10,000 hours. Now, do you hit a marker where a bell rings and everything goes off and suddenly you've achieved all your dreams and you're making $1 million because you've made your 10,000 hours? No, but it's a really good marker to shoot for. 40 hours a week for 10 years. Those actors out there, if you know the Meisner method, actors such as Eli Wallach and other actors, very impressive actors, said takes 20 years to become proficient as an actor. So that's double. That's 20,000 hours, and actors are on set for hours and hours and hours. So who knows? That's 20, 30, 40,000 hours plus all of your schooling. So it's a marker. It's something to shoot for. So there you go. So 21 years ago, is this true? Yeah, this is true. Wow, I am getting so old. 21 years ago, I co-founded an acting school, also with my Empress of Story and my very good friend from high school, Ralph Colombino. Ralph still runs Actors Playground School of Theater. We sold him our share of that when we moved to West Virginia. Still going strong. Ralph's got students all throughout the industry. Amazing, Ralph, if you're watching, my good buddy. Kudos, and here's to 20 years more. But 21 years ago, we founded an acting school and a theater company. Again, I didn't want to just teach the kids and go, yeah, here's stuff from the toolbox, and here are all these methods, and here are all these things, and just take our word that when the time comes, I wanted to apply it. I wanted to practice it. I was learning to be a director. I was writing plays. I had been writing plays for a while. Some had won some awards, and I just wanted to keep getting better. So I didn't want to use these kids as guinea pigs. I wanted to do an exchange where we tried stuff out and we all tried it out together, and they got practical experience or got to perform in front of people and do really, really cool things. It's wonderful to watch some of them now who have families who are 30 years old and are just doing amazing things. Absolutely love that. But to be a good actor, writer, and director, I was convinced, and I built a whole curriculum that I then took other places, that you must understand the fundamentals of all of them. I'm not going to dwell on that because this is so very, very specific, but an actor has to understand what a writer does and what a director does. The cool thing about that luxury automotive company that I consulted for was that it was for the salespeople, and it was for the engineers, and it was for the showroom people. And during the course of the escape room, they got to learn everybody else's jobs. That were cool. I always think it's cool, a corporation or an organization where you spend a little time doing everybody else's job. That is a really neat thing. And it's a cool thing for managers. All of that kind of stuff that I'm talking about, really my philosophy, is all in my book. Every Day is a Story All Its Own, a triadic approach to storytelling. So there you go. So that, out of all of that kind of work, that's where Every Day is a Story All Its Own came from. It became the tagline of the theater company and my personal mantra and mission and passion. If you tell your story anew every day, you're not going to get too bogged down. You're not going to say, my life is over, my career is over, I will never recover from this. Because that's very, very dangerous. You can go on and you're going to be better. And so it's an opportunity to replace a loss with a win. This way you can talk about your wins. You don't just have to focus on your losses. Hi, nice to meet you. I have been screwed continually ever since I got into XYZ, whatever the thing are that we're all doing, that we're meeting or we're working together. It helps you maintain a streak. You feel like you're putting some things together. For these acting roles that are coming up, I'm exercising every day. I've lost a bunch of weight. I still want to lose more. There are costumes that you got to look a certain way to look good in them, and I'm really committed to doing that. And that streak of I haven't had pasta or rice or very many carbs at all for 1 week, then 2 weeks, then 3 weeks. Those streaks are really cool. That's a story that I'm telling every day, that I'm taking really good care of myself, that I'm exercising every single day. Those kinds of things, telling the story, getting out there. And the networking is that. Make it part of your daily routine. Do it every single day. So here's what I do. Make it part of my every day. Make this commitment. Make a new contact. Post on social media about a project. about an achievement, about a goal you have, about a work in process. Some people won't talk about their work in process. I think you can talk generally about your work in progress, because it keeps you excited. It has you on the hook. Here's my thing, and I think it's going to be coming out at this time, and it keeps you showing up and working on it. And find potential outlets for you and your work. They're two different things. They're related, but you are not your work, nor is your work you. And I'm finding that out in the industry. The work may be outstanding. You have to prove yourself. And then sometimes the other way around. They know you, they know you're a good guy, whatever, but they're going to judge the work. So again, and this is for anybody, every single day. And there's so many different social media platforms. Chances are pretty good you're going to meet a new contract, and you might not even know how it's going to happen. So try the different stuff is what I was talking about earlier. Again, make a new contact somewhere, somehow. Post on social media about a project, about a goal, about a little bit of news. Cheer on other people. That's important. Hey, here's my friend. Check out what they're doing. I'm so proud of them. That's a good way to go too. And that is just karma. That just comes back on you. That's just a good thing. A rising tide lifts all boats. In the show and the blog about the role of creatives, no competition. This isn't about competition. I've won awards. They're very helpful. Certain awards get you taken seriously. The screenplays that I've written that have won awards, that's a good thing to have those laurel leaves, as they call them. But it's not about competition. I love Mikhail Baryshnikov said, I don't try to dance better than anyone else. I try to dance better than myself. It's an inner competition is a much thing to get better every day, to keep at it. For me, first thing in the morning, if I can, I'll do a social media post. I'll put the stuff out there. The blog is a little more complicated and time consuming. Sometimes I don't get to it till the middle of the day, but I'm certainly thinking about it. But I've done other stuff. I've engaged on social media in another way. I want to thank a lot of people have reached out and connected with me since I launched all of this on LinkedIn, and I deeply appreciate all of you. You're doing amazing things, and I'm honored to be networking with you. It's wonderful. So all of that you're doing, that networking, that social media posting, the making those new contacts, it's all working towards your 10,000 hours, because you're pitching. You have to send a little message with LinkedIn. I much prefer that. So you have to tell the person why you're reaching out to them, why you're connecting with them. Yeah, Ron says it, do better than yesterday. That's all you can do. And it could be a smidgen. It could be a tints, as we're fond of saying in my family. It don't have to be a whole heck of a lot. The story doesn't have to completely change every day, but they don't. A new character gets introduced is a wonderful thing. A new contact that then opens up something new to you. To say, this is me, here I am, and I'm open for business. I want to work. I want to collaborate. I want to help. I want to mentor. Do all those kinds of things. If you follow me on social media, you're well aware of how I do that. Cameron Crowe, the brilliant writer director, through his character Lloyd in the wonderful movie Say Anything, says, I'm looking for a dare to be great situation. On my inspirational wall here, where I have just dozens and dozens of inspirational things. I shall find a way or make one. I am looking for a dare to be great situation. I am always looking for a dare to be great situation. I am always looking for an opportunity to push myself, to see where I'm at, to be as authentic as I can be. And Teddy Roosevelt echoed that, or actually was a precursor to that. Dare greatly, think big, put yourself out there. Another quote that I love from Teddy Roosevelt is, do what you can with what you have where you are. And I had very interesting levels of success that served me very well when we all had to stay home several years ago because so many people didn't want to adopt. Oh, I don't want to read plays online. No, I don't want to do my Chautauqua. I only do it live. I don't want to do it through video. I got to perform for people who, because of cost, travel costs, time, logistics, scheduling, I got to perform for hundreds and thousands of people, not hundreds of thousands of people, hundreds of people, probably thousands of people that I never would have had an opportunity to do otherwise. I got to teach remotely for universities and other programs and continuing lifelong learning programs. That's another thing that you can do. The book reviews are a wonderful way to show what you can do if you're a musician. Review music and stuff. That served me so well. I've gotten so much work, so many connections, done so much networking through those things. So that's Teddy Roosevelt. I have some more quotes for you as I'm kind of winding down this episode here. Don't wait for the iron to get hot. Make it hot by striking. William Butler Yeats. And anybody that I collaborate with who hires me and things start to slow down, I'll say that we're waiting for the iron to get hot. Let's make it hot by striking. Let's put together a little sizzle reel. Let's redo our 2-page. Let's make some new context. Let's bring some fresh blood in. Strike that iron. Make it hot by striking. I love that. For me, how did I do that as I was waiting for my career to develop? How do I do that now? Well, writing and publishing my novels, I absolutely love. The ones that I do under my own imprint, I do on purpose. That's about probably every third book that I do is under my own imprint because I just do it. I have to show up. I have to do it. I have to get it ready. I DIY almost everything, sometimes even the covers, but I'll bring people in. That's a good way to do it. Forming my own acting company. Creating opportunities for yourself. I've written 24 plays and short films. Some of those we've produced through the theater company and through New Mystics Enterprises, and have gone out and done that or collaborated with other production companies to do the work. Just like when I was in college, I didn't want to be guard number one. I wanted to put myself out there. If I'm sitting in class all the time and I'm learning all these things, I want to try them out right away. That's my philosophy. The blogs, the book reviews, all of that kind of thing, the teaching, the lecturing. I would teach anywhere back in the day. I don't teach as much as I'd like to anymore, and I really want to change that. And I think when our move to West Virginia is done in September, I will be doing a lot more teaching. But I would teach at community centers, health clubs, boys and girls clubs, crowded corners of libraries. I created a lot of my plays during those programs with those kids. Is one fun, that kind of collaborative stuff. Not saying no to a job. Oh no, if I can't be in a university ivory lecture hall as a tenured professor with 120 kids who are listening to me, I don't want to teach. That was never it at all. I would teach anywhere. Would rehearse with my theater company when we lived in the holler in West Virginia. If it was too snowy for them to get actually in the holler, we would all meet at this car park about two or three miles from my house, and we'd rehearse in the parking lot in the snow. It was great advertising. What the hell are these crazy people doing? Just do is wonderful. And teaching really is a great way to learn, stay current, test. I come up with a lot of systems and ideas. My 3 threes of good storytelling. A lot of the stuff, how I do devised theater, my own particular way that I do it. Testing, trial and error, showing up. And you need places to do that, and networking will help you do that. Sit on boards. That's a wonderful thing to do. Lend your expertise. I'll talk about that in the art of showing up, because sometimes it can be difficult. But it's great. Another really cool quotation is Samuel Beckett's "Try again, fail better." Like Ron was saying, each day do a little better. Affirmations, that's what they are, Ron. Dare greatly. I'm looking for a dare to be great situation. Follow your bliss. Another one from Joe Campbell: the cave you fear to enter holds the treasure that you seek. Whatever these affirmations, these mantras, but good, better, best, never rest until your good is better and your better is your best. Another really good one: whatever works for you, use them all. I can, here I am, this is me. Authenticity all the time, all day, every day. So basically, I don't know what it means to be a success. So I'm going to say I'm a 35-year overnight success. I was a 30-year overnight success, a 25-year overnight success. Success means different things to all of us. I know what it means to me. But 5 years from now, at a different level, I'll be a 40-year overnight success, because there will always be disappointments and rejections, even at the toppest tiers, especially for creatives. You are never disappointment. Okay, some of the biggest stars, Kevin Bacon's new show, and he's been around forever. People love him. His show on Amazon, admittedly quirky. I don't even know if I want to watch it. That's how quirky it is. Just found out isn't getting renewed. J.J. Abrams, around the time of the pandemic, had a number of projects in the works, shut down. J.J. Abrams, one of the most brilliant storytellers ever to work in TV and film, for that matter. So try again, fail better. What the heck is failure? I'm not even sure. To me, it doesn't exist. There is no failure. If you're showing up, if you're being authentic, if you're following your bliss, if you're telling your story anew every single day, there is no failure. There are rejections. There are disappointments. There are false starts. There are abandoned projects. But don't fixate on that word failure. So try again, again, try better, whatever, fail better. What is failure? What it could be, is not closing the gap between where your idea or goal began and where it ended. That could be considered a failure. This is what I am setting out to do. Well, if it doesn't come through in any way, shape, or form, well, hey, maybe that is failure, but fine. Next time, fail better. The great inventors didn't invent their things overnight. They tried them thousands, tens of thousands of times. But it's very cool that it wasn't an inventor, but it was a creative, Samuel Beckett, the brilliant playwright, who said it. Try again, fail better. The Teslas of the world, the Nikola Teslas of the world, the Edisons and people like that. That's what they did. That is what they did. So I was talking about gap. I talked about gap with the role of creatives a lot. That's where story happens. That is the fertile field where the story grows. Your big meta story, the story of humanity, that's where it grows, in the gaps. Here's where we are. Here's where we want to be. If you think about any of the political disagreements now, they are legion, they are intense, the gaps are super, super wide. It's about where we are and where we want to be. And the story is, how do we get there? And every storyteller has a different story about how we get there. So failure is an opportunity to find the gaps and to fill them. When we talk about, as writers, about the inciting incident, that moment that it changes, something changes, the letter comes in that the person you thought you were going to marry was killed overseas in the war, that your death sentence or your prison sentence has been commuted and you've been exonerated, that your cancer is in remission, any number of things. This thing comes in, you just got the golden ticket and you're Charlie and you're going to go see Willy Wonka, even though you thought your life was just this horrible mess, and you would never get out of poverty ever. That's it. The true gap story is about the struggles that happen in the gap. That is what story is about. You can create substantial gaps for yourself by striving for hard to achieve goals, by following your bliss. When I was in college and I was super, super skinny and fit, I would bike. And I would bike several days a week. It was a good way to just get away from everybody, the hustle bustle of campus. I was a double major in theater and English. I was pushed very, very hard by my professors, for which because I showed up and I said, push me hard. Even though sometimes it was horrific and I wanted to give up. No, keep going. Just keep going, right? Young Frankenstein, whatever I say, whatever I do, don't open this door. But you don't back out, because it's not a comedy. It's your life and it's a constant audition. So you just keep showing up. So do that. Push yourself. What I would do is I would purposely get lost. so that a 10-mile ride, when you know where the hell you're going, turns into a 30 or 40-mile ride. You have to have time to do that, and plenty of water and a couple of bananas in the back of your riding jersey and all. I have a general idea where you are, and be someplace safe, of course, because riding in Philadelphia during rush hour was pretty nutty. But I did it. It was fine. So do that. Put yourself in a position where you know you gotta play through. There's no backing out. You've put yourself in that. Ron, thank you so much. I'm glad you found the information helpful, and look forward to sending you the audio recording of this for broadcast in 3 weeks. So I want to say this. I'm not a big fan of fake it till you make it. I am not a fan of anything that's fake. I don't care for fake and artifice, very much at all. And of course, the story, what we do, it's pretend, and the audience willing suspension of disbelief and all that. But I trust after this, you know what I'm talking about. So I don't say fake it till you make it. I say this. I say earn it so you own it. And that's really what about all this is. What you learn, you own. It's in there. You have it. You can draw on it. And doing all these things that I'm talking about tonight when I talk about the art of showing up in a couple of weeks. Same thing. What you learn, you own. So knowledge is power. Get as much of that as you can. Not fake it till you make it. Earn it so that you own it. I already talked about my blogging and reviews. I do how-to articles. I do analysis. I do opinion pieces like in defense of The Greatest Showman. But in order to do that, I have to break it down and make the case. I have to talk about the encodements of why this isn't just a whitewash job of a guy who admittedly was problematic. Book or music reviews, over 400 of those and counting. I'm finishing another book review, 420th or something like that. I'm a reviewer on Reezy Discovery. I have 14,000 followers there. Pretty amazing. Not sure how that happened. But there's enough material there, along enough of a base, that people are engaging with my stuff. I've been fortunate enough to be a featured reviewer there a couple of times. So if you're on Reezy Discovery, look me up there, Joey Medea. The discipline of putting forth your idea and doing critical analysis and making a case in 2,000 or words or less is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful discipline. Remember what Mark Twain said: apologies for this long letter. I did not have time to write a short one. So that condensing down, bleeding down becomes really, really important. What is this networking about? It's really about lifelong learning, testing the water, showing up, all these things I talked about tonight. Pitching, motivating and inspiring through the written word, through showing up, through doing these kinds of things. Engagement to show what you know. Show what you've done, but show what you know. Show what you're capable of. Show what you can do right now with the right help. When I talk about joining boards in the art of showing up in a couple weeks, I'll talk about some interesting things as far as that goes. And what is this? So many, even for the most accomplished, forward-facing people who spend tons of time on stage, or who their films are playing all the time, because they do 4 or 5 films a year, there are still tens of thousands of hours of unglamorousness, creating content when no one's watching or paying attention, building networks, practicing, experimenting, pursuing opportunities, making the most of opportunities when you get them. Some of those things aren't going to work out. There's a reason why rehearsals are private, so you can experiment, you can look foolish. I love to watch interviews with actors who talk about willing to look foolish and trying things out. I love that. So what can you do? Join networking groups. Attend festivals and conferences, connect with people who inspire you. That's absolutely key. Surround yourself with people who inspire you and who are achieving what you want to achieve. It's cool. I don't get starstruck. I don't meet that many famous people. I mean, I hardly ever leave the house, but I mean, but I have known them, and I know so many really, really genuinely accomplished people, and it's such a reminder that you can do it. You can do it. They did it, you can do that. When I was younger and people would say, "Well, who the hell do you think you are that you're gonna be a professional writer, or you're gonna be a professional actor?" That's not, like, for people like, that's not for, like, normal people, and you just kinda go, "No, they're just people, and they did it. They showed up, they did all of these things, and now they're doing it." Well, that's it. 30 seconds short of an hour, which is great. Oh, Karen, we live in a very, very old house, and we have some problems with the electric, so that's why the lights are um, happening. Although it is a very, very active house too, and sometimes some very cool things happen here. So anyway, next week I'm gonna have Nicholas Pendleton. He writes graphic novels. He's an illustrator. He's illustrated the covers of a couple of my books. Nick and I have known each other for over 20 years. He's been a champion of my work. I've been a champion of his work. One of the reviews that I did for one of his books, I'm sure we'll talk about this, was part of the reason I got banned from Amazon, and they took down over 400 of my reviews. But anyway, great guy, Nick Pendleton. So please, that's next week. Then the art of showing up. After that, Karen Lutz, who is with us here in the chat room. I'm sure she'll have even more exciting news. She's on a streak right now. She's networking. She's doing it. She's telling her story different every day. Not afraid to make adjustments when adjustments need to be made. Yeah, tune in, and we're just gonna keep going with this. So I'm gonna to let's see here. We'll do this short outro again, and I'll see you next week. Thank you so much.